What's up, guys? Today we're doing a charger audit of sorts and we're checking out DC fast chargers in the Charlotte area. So we are here at SouthPark Mall in Charlotte, in SouthPark area of Charlotte. We're here with my Polestar 2, and this is Janessa, a 50 kilowatt DC fast charger. And I looked at the manufacturing date code. Looks like this station is from all the way back in January of 2015, very old. I actually just used it and it does work, surprisingly. However, the screen is completely dead, so you can't see anything there, but I was able to start it with the app without issues. And this station is named Janessa. And this level 2 station has been dead for about a year. So yeah, it's completely useless. This BMW plug-in hybrid is plugged in for some reason, I guess just for looks, so that they don't look like they're just blocking the sign. But we're off to the next one. I would rate the condition of this station as probably like a C-. The DC fast charger works, but is in very poor condition, and the level 2 is completely dead. So kind of a lack of care here. Hopefully they just rip it out and replace it, because old 50 kilowatt DC fast chargers aren't that useful anymore. But at a mall, it's actually not a bad choice, but could use some new hardware with a functioning screen so that people can actually use it more easily if they don't know that a dead screen doesn't actually make it inoperable. And now we're headed to another EVgo at what's called Carmel Commons, and that station's actually been live for less than a year, I think like 6 months roughly. So I would certainly hope that station is in good health, but we will see. We've made it to Carmel Commons EVgo installation. So here they have two 100 kilowatt DC fast chargers. Each one of these can actually simultaneously charge two vehicles. So you have a CHAdeMO and a CCS, and you have another one of the exact same here. But the strange part here is there's only 2 parking spots for 4 potential charging positions. And then here you have a 350 kilowatt DC fast charger. This is dual CCS, and this actually has 2 parking spots designated for it. And this can, like I said, do 2 vehicles at once, and they tell you that there as well. And looking at the nameplate here, so it can do, I believe this is using the 350 cabinet there. So here we have, it will do 175 plus 175, or 1 vehicle at 350 kilowatt. But if you're doing 2 vehicles, it can do 500 amps at up to 175 kilowatts, plus 200 amps at up to 175 kilowatts. So it can't do, say, 350 amps. It'll do 500 plus 200. Maybe it's variable. Not really sure. I'd have to have 2 vehicles here to really test that out. And then we have all the equipment over here, which is really not the most efficient use of space. They definitely had to do some pretty long runs to get all the equipment over here versus if they had used more compact equipment that they could fit over by the chargers. So here we have the pad mount transformer, 750 kVA. We have emergency disconnects for all 3 of the units. So we have, this is for the 350 and then for the 100. And looks like they did some extra conduits there and over there for additional units in the future. Here's the power cabinet, as I mentioned, for the 350 kilowatt unit. We have a small step down transformer here for the 120 volt auxiliary feed. And then we also have a switchgear. So it's a little strange that they have switchgear and they have disconnects. You should be able to do just one or the other in most cases. So this is just taking up a ton of space over here. And it's not that they even needed the switchgear for a CT compartment for metering, because this is, I believe, yep, this is a Duke Energy meter. So they're doing pad mount metering in the transformer, so you don't need to provide a CT compartment. So let's go try out these chargers, see how they're working. I parked, so I should be able to use both of the 100 kilowatts from the same spot without moving my car. And this station actually does have a 10 on plug score, or on plug share as the plug score. Whereas the previous EVgo that we were at in SouthPark, that had a 6.9 plug score. So here we are starting Clemmy. So this is the more rearward unit here. I plugged in, started it with the app. You can see the screen is a bit faded or kind of like UV degraded, I guess would be the best way to describe it. So we're starting the session now. Let's see what the car shows. This is an up to 200 amp unit. Potentially you can boost the cable up higher, but we shall see. At 71% state of charge, I don't believe we'll get full 200 amps, but I guess we'll find out here. We're more just looking to make sure it gets close to what it claims and make sure that it actually does function. And functionality is the most important attribute here. So for my vehicle, this will most likely get around 80 something kilowatt rather than the full 100, just given the 200 amps. So that appears to me to be healthy and functioning, so that's good. Now we're going to try this other one. I don't recall the name of this one. This one is Romare. Just activated Romare with the app, and this screen is in a little bit better condition. However, this 3D printed plug holder is not in the best condition. This one is in fine condition, and this one actually has a completely different style of plug holder. This actually works seemingly pretty well. Like that, it's fairly secure. Let's see if we are charging after the handshake here. There we go, charging started. This should probably do around the same 65 or so kilowatt. Just given my state of charge. And there we have it. So that one is functioning as well. We'll stop charging, but let me just show you what's on the screen here. And just like that, shows the same information. Doesn't show pricing. I have one of the membership plans for EVgo, so I think it can't calculate the pricing, but it's really dumb. The pricing for the 350 kilowatt unit and the pricing for the 100 kilowatt and the pricing for the 50 kilowatt that we just used are all 27 cents a minute. So very dumb pricing, but let's stop charging on this one and then we'll move our car over so we can use both of the cables on that unit. Just moved my car over to Shada, the 350 kilowatt unit here, and plugged in, started it on the app. This is using the Huber and Center liquid cooled cables similar to Electrify America uses. Not sure if they're using the new generation, but those cables can actually be fairly problematic. So what we're looking at with this test is to make sure it goes over about 37 kilowatts, because that is the fail-safe mode of sorts for these cables. So it's connecting to vehicle. Let's look inside the car. This cable setup's not great. Guess I can do that, but still tricky to walk over here. This likely won't get any more power than the other unit, just given the state of charge my car is at. But looks like we are above the fail-safe mode of the cable, so should be functioning fully. That looks pretty darn good to me. So we'll stop charging here and we'll swap to the other cable here. And here you can actually see the huge screen. Let me see if I remember how to get the big info here. So here you can see full information. So max 350 kilowatt, 540 amps, 950 volts, but you can see the current information there. So let's stop charging here. End session, just like that. And we have successful charging on cable A here as well. So nice done, EVgo here. Every cable seems to be working, or at least all the ones that I can test. And we're getting 65 kilowatts. So we'll stop the charge here and figure out where we're going next. Next up, we're heading to a BP that actually used to have a 50 kilowatt Delta EVgo station like what we saw at SouthPark Mall. However, it's now been replaced with a FreeWire battery-based DC fast charger. The EV Connect app, which is the network that they use for activation, shows that it's available. However, on PlugShare, it has a 1 as the score, which is, I think, as bad as it gets. I don't know if it goes below 1, lots of failed sessions. So I guess we'll see if it works. I actually was there a couple weeks ago and it didn't work. It was in maintenance status. And then I was actually there the week it was installed and it worked fine. So I guess we'll see if it works or not. And hopefully it is working, because it would be a bit sad if it's not, with being that new of a station. One way to find out. So here we have BP in Ballantyne, and here we have the FreeWire Boost 150 charger. So it's showing 35 cents per kilowatt hour on the screen, and it looks like the credit card reader is set. However, I went on the EV Connect app and it's showing free. So let me activate it and we'll see if we can actually charge. So I just started the session on the app and we'll see what happens here, because it showed Connect Vehicle. Let's see what happens, I guess. Initializing. We do have green lights. They're a little hard to see, but they're not the red lights that it shows otherwise. So initializing. Let's look in the car as well. Oh, that's showing error. That's not a great sign. Let's try this again. So this is now my third or fourth attempt here to try start charging. We're plugged in, yellow light, saying to return charger to holster. It said that every time, and it just won't start charging. So I'm gonna try with the credit card reader, see if it will charge me 35 cents a kilowatt hour. That's fine. But the EV Connect app, which is this sticker here, is not working. So this stands as our first failed charging session. Everything appears to be working. I did try the credit card reader as well, and it just failed to even read it. Visa, MasterCard, Amex, Apple Pay, none of them worked. Did notice a little bit of interesting workmanship here. These gaps and everything, and then this cable is actually kind of getting pinched up there, which is probably not ideal. But let's figure out where we're going next. Good thing I didn't actually need to charge, because this didn't work. Well, I gave up on trying to activate this unit, unfortunately, after multiple attempts of activating via the EV Connect app and via the Nayax credit card reader. None of them worked, unfortunately. So didn't add any charge, wasn't able to charge at all here, which is unfortunate. I did report it on the EV Connect app, so we'll see if they resolve it. Next, we're headed to another BP off of 49 near Whitehall in Charlotte. It's been showing on PlugShare that's been having issues, at least on CCS, since May. It's now almost September. So we'll see if it's actually resolved, and if it functions. It has a 1.9 plug score on PlugShare. So we'll see if it works. I'm not hopeful. We made it to the EVgo here off of Walker Branch Road in Charlotte. And if you've been watching this channel for a while, you maybe recognize this station here. It's Rivergate Express here, and there's actually a Target right over there that I used to shop at all the time, because this used to be about 3 miles from where I lived. And if you've been watching really a long time, you would know that this screen used to be in a really rough condition with a whole bunch of burn-in spots, and looks like this is more responsive as well. So let me activate this here. This appears to be in okay shape, so I'm gonna activate it and see if it works. So I activated it here. It says it's selected. So this is in not good condition, but not really impacting functionality a whole lot, at least as far as I can tell so far. It's a bit dirty though. So let's see what happens and if this ends up working here. Did show the Chatamo as busy in the app. Do we have a failure light yet? Nope, no failure light. Let's see what's happening in the car. So still showing initializing. It's not looking super promising because it should have been initialized by now. Well, let's just give it another moment here and see what happens and see. Okay, so please unplug the vehicle, reconnect to start a new charging session. That's not great. And let me get up my RFID and we'll try it that way. Okay, so we have unplugged, as you can see right there. I'm going to try my RFID. See if that will work. This So that's good. Ready to start charging. Okay, authorized. I did select CCS, so that's good. And we'll try and plug in here. And I'm going to try the good old trick of holding up on the cable here to see if that helps anything. Let's see if this decides to work. I am still holding up on the cable here. In the car, still showing yellow initializing. Not making a whole lot of progress, unfortunately. Seems to be having the same issue again. Still holding up on this because sometimes the communication pins can be not fully seated. So let's see here. Overall, the station appears to be in not too bad a shape, though. It's actually fairly clean. And there we have it again. So another failed session. I'm gonna go with that's probably not going to work for us, unfortunately. And this e-stop button actually looks pretty new too. So looks like someone did some fairly extensive maintenance on this station not that long ago. And at least cleaned it up and things, replaced the screen. So it's a bit unfortunate that it's not working. And let's look at the date code on this one as well. So this one's also January 2015, just like the one that we saw at SouthPark Mall. So fortunately, that was a fail. It is worth noting that I've used this Stephen station previously. I actually used to live about 3 miles from here and didn't really have home charging, so I would charge here when I went to Target. So it has worked in the past, even with the previously damaged screen, so not sure what's going on there. But now we're headed to another BP station that has another one of these same EVgo units, and the most recent plug share check-in was 2 weeks ago, and it said that it looks like it had been set on fire. So I'm pretty intrigued to see what we find when we get there. It's about 5 miles away, so let's see what we find. Well, we just made it to Shopton Commons BP here. I just plugged in, activated charging. Looks like it's initializing maybe. But here we have the unit. I could see why someone would think that it looks like it was maybe set on fire with the damage there on the side. I think that's just UV damage to the like paint protection film that's applied on the side here, but looks otherwise fine. Screen, you can kind of tell if you look at it at the right angle. Looks like it failed to start charging there. Yeah, overall it doesn't look too terrible, I'd say, but it is not functioning, and the cable management system is broken here. You can see it just broken off from where it should be attached up there on the tether. And this station is, let's see, also January 2015. So that's not very promising. Looks like we have another failed session here, but I'm gonna try just one more time, see if it will work. Well, unfortunately, another failed session here on this EVgo 50 kilowatt. We're headed to another BP, but this time one that has been replaced with a FreeWire unit. We'll see if we have better luck this time than we did at the Ballantyne one. We're headed to Catawba Village. So let's head over there, see if we can get that FreeWire DC fast charger to work, either with the app, EV Connect, or with the credit card reader. Doesn't really matter to me. And we just arrived at the Catawba Village FreeWire here. This is an interesting install. I did actually use my credit card down on the reader there, so we'll see if this is working. And okay, so it looks like total cost is $1, even though we just started charging. Said it was 35 cents a kilowatt hour. Okay, interesting. Let's see what the car is showing. So we're getting 71 kilowatt according to that. And 70 on there, so that sounds about right for a 60% state of charge. 74 kilowatt. Okay, not complaining about that. Sounds about right. The pricing structure on the EV Connect app was actually super complex. I'll put a screenshot of that in here. It was like a $5 flat fee on the weekends, plus 35 cents a kilowatt hour, plus I think $1 an hour or something. Really, really overly complicated. But here we have the installation. So we have the FreeWire unit there. This is where the old Delta EVgo unit used to be. So unfortunately, this one is not set up for 2 vehicles to be able to use it, even though the FreeWire DC fast charger does support 2 vehicles charging at once. I guess the only theoretical way you could have 2 vehicles charging here simultaneously is if you had like a Leaf basically right up in here, or like a Tesla backed in perpendicular with the charge port, I guess, and using a CHAdeMO adapter. This is really not built for 2 vehicles to charge at once, unfortunately. But I'm just going to charge up here briefly because I want to keep my battery fairly low. But I am curious to see what the final cost ends up being, because it says 35 cents a kilowatt hour, even though it's more complicated on the app. So let's find the label on this thing down here. So there we can see 208 volt input. It'll do 350 amp output on CCS, and it'll do 150 amp output, or sorry, 150 kilowatt output on CCS. And this was made very recently in April 2022. Here we can see the little panel switchgear and stuff. Nothing too crazy. So it looks like Duke Energy. And there we have it, successful charge. Not a whole lot to say here. You can see, I think this is indicating charging power or charging state of charge. So 62%, about half. That seems about right. And let's see what we get for stop charging, what the cost ends up being. So $1.03 was the successful charge. Makes sense. So now I'll unplug. And we'll be all set. Not a whole lot to say for this one. It was a successful charge, which is about all I can ask for. EV Connect, please fix your pricing structure because it's absurd. But 35 cents a kilowatt hour is totally reasonable. So that, fine with that. Now we're headed to another BP with an old school EVgo 50 kilowatt. We'll see if it works. PlugShare suggests that it probably won't, unfortunately. And this spot is a bit tricky to get out of here, so going to focus on driving so I can get out of here without hitting anything, and we'll see you at the next BP. And yet another BP with a 50 kilowatt EVgo station. Open up the charge port here. This one has a 5, I believe, unplugged score. Let's activate the station here, getting out my RFID card. Let's see here. CCS, RFID. There we go, authorizing. Cable looks fine as far as I can tell. That didn't fully feel like it latched that well, but we'll see what happens. Initiating session, that's promising. And there we got the obnoxious buzzing. Those are good noises. Wow, that was actually probably one of the most seamless experiences we've had all day so far. Let's let that ramp up here. So we can't see when this is from, unfortunately, or I guess kind of, January 2015 it looks like. So same as all the other ones. Let's see what the car shows. Station is showing 45 kilowatt, which is about what I'd expect. And just like that, we're getting 107 amps, actually better than I'd expect. These normally will only do 100 amps, so everything's working as expected. Pretty impressive, actually. And now for the finale of sorts, since we had successful charging, we're going to go to Electrify America, and that will be wrapping up this video. Okay, Google, navigate to Electrify America. Navigate to Electrify America. And we'll see how things go there. Last time I was there, 4 out of the 10 stations were down, so Wasn't a great experience then, but hopefully they've improved. At least they have, according to what's shown on the Electrify America app for status. And we made it to Electrify America in Charlotte. This is a 10 stall configuration. There's 2 right here, and you can see 8 behind me. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars charging right now. I just activated number 10 here. We'll see if it actually works because it has a vehicle timeout screen, and I'm purposely parking so that I can try 2 at once. We'll see if I'm successful in that. But let's just keep an eye and see if number 10 works to start with. So it's showing a vehicle timeout, and I tried it there. Let's try the other cable, I guess. Let me activate it here. Well, number 10 here is completely dead, so time to switch to number 9 here. Let's see if this one shows as available. At least it did on the app. So I'm gonna start this here. I'll use this right cable. It shows ready, so that's promising. Let's try it. So number 9 here activated and plugged in. So that's promising here. Let me just show you some of the other cars here while we're waiting for that to activate. So we've got a Nero or Kona, I can never remember which one is which. EV6, Bolt EUV, Ioniq 5, ID4, another EV6. So quite a nice mix here of all the different cars at Walmart. And let's see if we're successfully charging here. Look in the car, since these stations are notoriously unresponsive on the screen. Well, we're not charging yet, so that's not great. Let's give it another moment here. Let's also look at the date code. So this one, 35 of 2020, so that's like mid-2020, and it's mid-2022, so these stations are about 2 years old. Kind of crazy that they're having these issues. There you can see all the different power cabinets and the switchgear. Let's check again here. So that's a failed session there. So we're now 3 out of 3 on fails. Let's switch to the other cable there before I move my car. And I did switch cables here. So we're on number 9. I had to pull the car forward a bit. So it says authorized. I heard clicking. That's promising. So it sounds like we're going to be starting charging here. I think last time I was here, this maxed out at 35 kilowatt due to cable cooling issues. Let's see what we get this time. So green light, that's promising. Let's see what we get. 50, 60, that's good. So it looks like we're getting the appropriate speed here, which is promising. So I'm gonna let that charge for a minute. Let's go check out some of these other stations to see what's going on. So number 1 here seems to be working. Someone was charging here successfully, which is good. Number 2 here, this one a moment ago was showing unavailable, so that's interesting that it's now showing as available in theory. So maybe someone could charge there. Looks like the credit card reader is dead though, so that's not great. Number 3 here in ID4 was successfully charging, so this one looks like it works. Number 4, this one was showing as unavailable, so that you won't be able to charge on. Number 5 here was not working. Number 6 appears to be working. A Bolt just charged on it. Number 7 was dropping out for this EV6, so had to stop and start again. We'll see if number 8 here works in a moment. Number 9 is the one I'm successfully charging on, but the right cable did not work, so only the left cable here worked. And number 10 would not activate for me because it's stuck on this vehicle timeout screen. So that is the state of this here, and the cable is very warm here for number 9. Feels like the cable cooling is maybe not running at 100%. That's the state of Electrify America here in Charlotte. Well, I lost track of how many stations failed and how many were successful today, but it seemed like a large amount of stations that we went to today were faulty, which is very concerning. Would love to hear what you guys think. If you want to do a similar video in your area, or at least just like tweet it or something like that, I'd be really interested to see if this is the case elsewhere or if this is just a Charlotte problem. Anyway, if you made it this far, thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. We'll see you next time.